Hello Dirtfish Rally friends. It's the end of Saturday here at the Safari and there is an awful lot to talk about. There is in fact so much to talk about that we've got two expert pundits for you this evening. As always, George Donaldson, wonderful to see you here in Kenya again. It's been one of those days, hasn't it?
Colin, it's been a great day. And my prediction last night that Tanak could still win met with ridicule last night.
Ridicule by me.
Ridicule,
yeah.
And he's right sitting there in second place, poised. A brilliant, brilliant drive from Ott.
We will come on to that. Brenton Kelly, you are a Safari Rally newbie. What have you made of today? It's been fun out there, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a newbie here, but I think I was blessed with some classic weather, some classic circumstances for Safari Rally.
You really were. You really were. You saw some classic stages, some classic weather, and just some classic sort of atmosphere out on the stages today. Let's talk then, folks, about our rally leader, Elvin Evans. Right up until the last part of the day, it was absolutely faultless in some incredibly challenging conditions. Elvin leads by a long way. He's got a 2-minute lead, George. He's been impressive really since Thursday afternoon, hasn't he?
He really has, and a couple of times he's not always been right leading from the front. Sometimes he's been fourth or fifth, quite a few seconds back, just measuring the pace, deciding where you're taking the risks.
Yeah.
The car only has so much life.
Yeah, he seems to have a clear vision for the rally and a clear vision for the championship looking at the points, but kind of seems very level-headed this rally compared to some of the other drivers. Even today we saw him when all the mud and all the rain had come down. Yeah. He was still taking the time to be in his nice, safe place, cleaning the windshield. And it seems to be working for him, but then...
It's routine, isn't it, George? It's routine, and Elvin Evans has developed
the discipline of that routine as well.
The discipline of the routine, and it puts him in the place that he wants to be in.
Yeah. The heavens opened just as we were waiting to go into the first stage of the afternoon, and horrendous conditions. Couldn't even, I spun the 360 in a completely straight line. I'm not sure even I can claim that one before, but it's been definitely a very challenging afternoon out there, and I'm happy to make the end of it.
Okay, there's only 64, 65 Ks tomorrow, but it's Elvin's to lose. It is Elvin's to lose. He can give away 3 seconds a kilometre, just about, and still win this one.
But, is he going for those maximum points? Is he trying to lock that championship up early? He's kind of almost doubled anyone else in the championship. He could secure this early this year.
This I suppose is the added kind of complication again of Sundays. What's he going to go for tomorrow? I don't think he changes, George, the way that he's approached things up to now.
Absolutely spot on with that. And tomorrow, as we said, we said at the start of the rally, 80% of this rally is flat out. You trust your drivers to use their correct judgment on that. And 20% of it was just deadly, where you have to really, really be so clever. And it is cleverness to understand that and realise what you can do, what you're able to do, what the car can give you, and then you're really happy with it. Those are the places you have to be so careful. Tomorrow has, I'm going to say, maybe 1% left. Only 1% left of that hard stuff. There are a couple of wee places where you could be tempted into really pushing it and making wee mistakes, and you don't want to do that. So there's still a couple of places where you just say, I'm going to pull back a little bit, and that makes Sunday even harder because of that point situation.
But Beaky, let's talk about Tanak and Hyundai. Is it fair to say we were writing them off yesterday? I think we were. I really think we were. It was a difficult... You might not have been.
Not me.
A lot of people were writing them off. Hyundai have had a good day out there today. They really have. They're a long way behind, but they've had a good day out there, particularly Tanak.
He had some good times and some bad times. We saw him on, what was that, stage 14 when he ran into the rain?
Yeah.
Kind of slowed down a little bit about there, but level-headed, playing the long game.
Do you know what? I think they've dialed it back today in both of those Hyundais, because we've got Tanak in second place, Thierry Neuville in third place, and circumstances have played into their hands today, but again, that's the Safari. You can't say, well, they're lucky because Rovanpera had issues or Takamoto Katsuta had 3 punctures. That is all part of the long game that you play at the Safari. I think they've dialed back a little bit. Maybe, George, you'll tell us whether they can do this on the engine, but definitely in terms of the driver approach, it was, we get through today at all costs. Doesn't matter what we do, we get through. And if that means going at half pace, which it wasn't half pace, but if it means taking the foot off the throttle to make sure.
Well, I think you're absolutely spot on in what you think might have happened, and I think it has happened, but not in the way you do. I watched the cars on a stage. I had the privilege of doing that today, and the Hyundais look just absolutely superb.
Yeah, they look committed,
And they sound slightly better than the Toyota, but they actually looked every bit as fast. So I don't think the engine's been dialed back, but I think what has been dialed back is the expectation of the driver, and
Right.
they had lost time, so they have to play a different game now.
You mentioned when we consider that Thierry Neuville had the worst possible preparation for today. You know, he had a terrible night last night. He was really ill. Martin Vidaga, his co-driver, also had a very bad night. He was ill as well. You know, you've got to give them a huge amount of credit, you know, for the way the car has performed, the way the crews have performed out there.
I think if they stick to the same plan they had today, with everything that went down towards the end of the day today, and what could potentially go down tomorrow, we'll probably see that.
No, I have to disagree with you
No.
again. I'll say nothing until I'm asked by Colin.
Well,
I
tell
don't
me.
know
What is
that
it?
one.
I think tomorrow, the situation they're in now, I think they have to kind of almost take today's strategy, but just add a little bit more to it. They need to lift it just a tiny little bit more, because I think there's now a possibility to just create that strategy. And if Elfin gets a puncture, you know, it's around about 1.5, 2 minutes to change it. Actually, Ott has a great chance to win, so he's got to keep himself as close to Elfin as he can. If I was driving the Hyundai team, I'd be saying, guys, you know, you keep the pressure on. You've done a great job today. Same again, you know, and let them do it. They're the fast drivers, not us.
Yeah.
You know, we can think and dream of the best event result and strategy, but I would trust them to say, guys, you judge this now. You've got a chance there. Don't underestimate it. Keep yourself absolutely in the frame. Don't back off and take that easy result now at this point. Those cars ran perfectly today. A very, very hard, tough day. Tomorrow is not hard and tough. Those cars should not have any issues tomorrow in terms of the environment.
Maybe,
shouldn't.
George,
They shouldn't.
Maybe,
They
but,
shouldn't.
Maybe, but I think there's too much at stake. And I tell you what's at stake. What's at stake is the company's reputation, for starters. You know, for the first 4 editions of this event, we've said Hyundai cannot make a car capable of winning this, never mind getting on the podium here. But more importantly, there are driver points, and perhaps more importantly still, Brenton, manufacturer points. They're a fair bit behind after 2 rallies. You've got Takamoto Katsuta waiting in 4th place. He's a fair bit behind, waiting to capitalise though. They have to secure 2nd and 3rd tomorrow, for more than anything, I think, the manufacturers, and for the reputation of the company almost.
I would agree with that, except that tomorrow's a much easier day on the car, and those cars are not that fragile.
George, Thursday was the easiest day on the cars, and they lost 2 of them. So
no comment on that at all.
well, that's correct.
No,
it is correct. It is correct. 30 kilometres, and he lost 4 more.
That's all been ironed out now. The car's been developed over the rally, you know. I mean, it has, you know.
Takamoto Katsuta, again, a driver who struggled a little bit, Brenton, with health issues over the weekend, really struggling in the car today. But 3 punctures for Takamoto. You know, is that just bad luck, Brenton, or is that perhaps maybe as a result of his driving style a little bit?
I mean, it could go either way here. There's so many variables, you know, with how silty it is in spots and catching those rocks. Could be maybe driving style. Maybe he's changing his driving style up a little bit because he's not feeling well. We're seeing him get out of the car, and he is way sweatier than he normally is. He's looking a little bit more tired.
He's a very aggressive driver in these conditions, and that's why he's done so well in difficult testing, muddy conditions before, and I suspect maybe that's played into it a bit. But Takamoto is poised, fell back behind, obviously, Ott Tanak with that puncture later on in the day. 5th place at the end of the day is Kalle Rovanpera.
Yep.
He's had a funny old rally. He really has. You know, he struggled a little bit through the early stages, then found himself in 2nd place, just 7 seconds off the lead, and we're thinking, here we go.
Here we go.
Rovanpera,
We all thought that.
watch out. Bang, he's gone back down again.
Yeah.
He got a puncture this morning, but then this afternoon, talk us through what really cost him those 4 places this afternoon, George. You were there at the end of the stage.
So he's
What was the
broken. He's
issue?
broken the sort of rear A-arm, I think they called it, or it's a longitudinal support. All the parts of the rear suspension kept the wheel straight, but it was flapping backwards and forwards.
But the repair took a bit of time. It was very calm, Brenton, wasn't it? It was very calm around that repair. Bit of help from his teammates as well, which is allowed this year. I looked at that and went, Brento, that ain't going to last the 46 Ks for the rest
No,
of this.
That's exactly what I thought.
You know?
I don't think there was any of us thought there was any chance for that to do well, but he got, well, do we know if he got back to the Parc Fermé? He certainly got out the stage.
Yeah.
It's
He
quite
did.
a rough road on the way back here. But basically what happened was, just on a muddy section, the car flipped around. We saw lots of drivers flipping around. Elvin Evans spun. A similar thing happened with Kala, and the car just drifted, and he said, I hit a rock. I mean, he might not even have seen it. It could have been underwater. Smack.
Well, it's a MacGyver fix, let's say.
How did it happen, Callie? Do you know?
Yeah, big loose stone.
On the line.
Well, not really on the line, but the line what the water takes you with.
Let's talk then about the driver who finds himself in 6th place at the end of the day. George, Sami Pajari, I think he's having a really good rally. He's been a little bit anonymous. We haven't talked about him much. He's not done an awful lot. But in some ways, that's exactly what he had to do here.
Yeah.
First time here in a Rally 1 car. And we've not talked about him because he's not really done a lot wrong.
No, a puncture on the first day in a very rough stage, which can easily happen, and all the drivers have to basically learn that. Where are the limits? Can you get away with pushing? Actually, no, you can never do it, because if you get it wrong in some of these unbelievably horrible places, instant puncture, instant 1.5, 2 minutes lost. And he's then kept his nose pretty clean.
He has.
And a big learning experience.
He's got to play the long game and get the experience, get the reps in for events like this.
Yeah.
When we saw him at Finland last year, he came out of that rally and was telling us, maybe I did too good here. I set the
Yeah,
expectation
maybe.
level a little
Yeah,
too high,
yeah,
brought
yeah.
too much attention to himself, and now, like you said here, we're not paying that much attention to him now.
M Sport, we've not talked about the two M Sport boys. Gregoire Munster's had a really strong day out there. He's pulled himself back well into the top 10. And you know what? Josh McElwain has had a good day as well. And Brento, a real achievement for M Sport. I think it was in the penultimate stage. They won the stage and they were second in the stage. They, with such a young team, they've got to look for all the positive, all the wins they can take. And I think today, and in particular this afternoon, was a real win for M Sport and the youngsters there.
Yeah, when we heard that, we thought it might have been the prior stage where there was a bunch of issues and rain and stuff, but then to hear that it was that stage where the conditions were pretty even through the field. Like the rain had already come through. So it makes it that much more rewarding. There's no excuse or reason that people can say, hey, well, you got it because of this. No.
There was a second little stint of rain, but it was ineffective in terms of the
You've
overall
got
condition.
two of the younger drivers in the field, two of the lesser experienced drivers in the field. Some really challenging conditions, and they might have had slightly better conditions. But both of those drivers coped remarkably well. It was the Rally 2 Championship. We thought it was tough out there for the Rally 1 cars. Just how difficult was it for the Rally 2 cars? Well, for some of them, impossibly difficult. But we have an incredible battle for the win in Rally 2 here. We've got Gus Greensmith leading the way. We've got Jan Solens around about 5 seconds behind him. After all the kilometres we've had, after all the challenges we've had, to be 5 or so seconds dividing those two at the front. It's incredible. It's a great battle to look forward to.
Exactly. I mean, you look at Rally 1, you see the variables in timing right down to 5th place, the minutes difference.
Yeah.
But in Rally 2, it shows how tight the competition is. To see
it really
5
does.
seconds between 1 and 2 like that, it just shows you how close they are on the limit with all those variables in a rally where it's so much different compared to some of the other rallies.
Boys, it's been a great, great day. We do have 5 stages to come. We have 65 kilometres to come. I'm going to put you on the spot. What are we going to see tomorrow? 1, 2, 3.
Ott Tanak, Elvin Evans,
Oh, that would be cruel.
Taka Katsuta.
Radio. Brento?
Oit Neuville Evans.
Radio, that would be cruel as well. Listen, whatever your thoughts are, do you agree with George? Do you agree with Brenton? Is Elvin Evans going to throw this one away? I don't think so. And don't forget, we've seen some incredible driving out there. And Brenton, you know what? If our Dirtfish friends actually think, well, maybe I want to give this rallying a little bit of a go, what should they do?
Well, I'll tell you what, they can go to Dirtfish Rally School, located just outside of Seattle, Washington. We've been around for, it's going to be 15 years this year in October. Biggest rally school in the world. Check us out, dirtfish.com.
Absolutely check it out. And if you really do want Brenton to teach you how to drive, he'll do it. Just ask for him. Ask for him. So what a day we have had here in Kenya. One more day to go at the Safari Rally. Join us tomorrow for the final day's highlights for what has been a fascinating event.